Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about all things how to break into the financial services industry and if you need an MBA or a master's degree to get a job in finance. So stick around and I'll be giving details on all things MBA and careers in finance. If you're interested in this kind of content, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button below to stay up to date on all my new content. Okay, so first things first, let's kind of get started in discussing what exactly is an MBA that I just mentioned. So an MBA is a Master's in Business Administration. That's what the letters MBA stand for. So essentially it's a master's level program that gives like a broad-based overview of all different topics in business. And if that's something you're interested in, that's kind of what you would be going to get an MBA for. So a lot of people ask, do I need an MBA to get a job in finance? Can I get a job without an MBA? So I think this is like kind of a loaded question and there's different answers that can answer this question. I think to kind of set the record straight, you can 100% get a job in finance and in business without an MBA. I think that's a given. And if you go through many different job boards, very, very rarely, I think will you see that it says must have an MBA. Sometimes they'll say MBA preferred. Sometimes you'll even see MBA/CFA preferred, kind of just like an upper level education. And I think some people, think, do I get an MBA? Do I get a CFA? They're kind of for different purposes. But overall, I'd say that you don't need an MBA to get a job in finance. You don't need an MBA. I'm just going to stress that. But there are some instances that would maybe be very beneficial for you to get an MBA. So I'm going to talk about that now. And I'd say the situations that it would be extremely helpful for are people who are going through career transitions, people who are looking to pivot their career, people who are looking to get a break because it's pretty much 2 years of schooling and it can be a fun time. And also people who want to network and grow their base, meet people and really expand their network of people for their career. So going off of, career transitions, why would you need an MBA if you're looking to do a career transition? So let's say you're working as, an engineer and you want to work in finance. It's very hard to probably get a job that would, catapult you directly from engineering and move you on, directly go from engineering and move you straight into financial services or get you a job in investment banking or really any type of job that you would want in finance. I'd say it's a little bit hard, especially without the correct contacts and the right networks. It would probably be difficult for you to just land a job without having an MBA. So I think, for somebody who's coming out of a different industry and wants to break into the business world and wants to work in, a corporate function that falls under the MBA umbrella, I think for people like that, getting an MBA is definitely a good idea because it exposes you to new opportunities within business as opposed to your prior career, which maybe isn't really related to business. Somebody who already has a degree in finance and is working in a finance function, there are some reasons that I would recommend you do an MBA and some reasons that I maybe would steer clear for. Another reason for people working in finance, if you're looking to go from front office to back office. So this may sound confusing to a lot of people, but within the financial services industry, there's pretty much two brackets of departments, I would say. There's front office and then there's also back office. It's not really where you're physically located in the office. It's more as opposed to how you're classified if you're bringing revenue to the firm. So pretty much anything front office, I'll say using an investment bank as an example, is anything that brings money directly to the bank. So that's things like sales and trading, equity research, investment banking, any really thing that directly brings fees and revenue, and anything back office would be things like FP&A, so financial planning and analysis, accounting, tax, HR, information services, IT, things like that. So if you want to make the shift from back office to front office, I think getting an MBA can definitely help you because it's not that easy to do once you're already in one of the separate offices. And I can do a video kind of going in depth in that, but just to, give an idea for people who are maybe working in a back office function and want to get into, front office and get their foot into the door in a front office job, definitely an MBA can be helpful. So those are people that I think it would be helpful for. I also mentioned the MBA is good for people looking to take a break. So hard to take a break as an adult, unless you're taking a sabbatical or, maybe you're unemployed for some time, but it is hard to all of a sudden take a break. And the MBA gives you an opportunity to do that because it's technically 2 years of structured schooling, but it's not that difficult. MBAs are known for having a lot of fun, travel, it's a good time. Most people really enjoy their MBA experience. Of course, you're studying and you're taking exams and all of that, but it's a good time and people really, really enjoy that break from like real life, I guess you can say, from working. So if you are looking for that, kind of time off, I would say, but doing something productive at the same time, an MBA is the perfect opportunity for you. Another reason MBA is a good opportunity, and I think would be smart for somebody to get, if they're looking to network. An MBA can help you meet the right people that can get you the right job in finance. Sure, you'll be getting the knowledge in an MBA program, but I think what's more valuable in an MBA program is the connections that the school can provide for you, and really both your classmates, alumni is a really big one, and also any on-campus like career events. So definitely MBAs give you a network of people. Really, this is a good time to form connections. Like, you're meeting the smartest people in the room, and you're also meeting people who can open the door for you in a lot of different ways. So definitely for networking, an MBA is a really good idea if that's something that you want to do further. So if you kind of don't fall into the boat of any of those categories, maybe an MBA might not be worth it for you. And I think there are some drawbacks to an MBA that are worth considering, and for you to kind of think about before you apply to a program or before you embark on getting a program. Is it worth it? So some of the drawbacks of getting an MBA, it's not cheap. Some of these schools are pretty expensive. I believe Harvard Business School for 1 year of tuition is about $75,000. So that's just like a rough estimate of how much it's going to cost for 1 year. And these are usually 2-year programs. But I'd say most of like the top business schools are around like 70 to 80, 85. So kind of make your estimate of that. Another reason why it's expensive, because if you do the 2-year program, you usually can't have a job during this time, or at least not a full-time job. So it is a loss of income that you would be making. So there are some financial drawbacks during this time, and that's something that you have to consider. Another drawback is obviously you have to study. Like, you're going back to school. While it is not that difficult and usually not such an intensive program, you still have to study. You still have to go to class. It's kind of being back in school. If that's something that you want, sure, go for it. But not everybody is ready to go back to school. They're kind of set in their ways from working full time. So that is something for you to consider. There are, I believe, some schools do offer like part-time programs or online programs. But I would say, I believe like a top tier MBA program is usually 2 years without part-time or any breaks online. But again, that's something that you guys would have to research and figure out what works best for you. Another thing to factor in about kind of the drawbacks of getting an MBA is it really worth it? Like, what are you even going to learn there? I believe there was an interview with Elon Musk, who's obviously super successful in business, and he was asked about like what he thinks about MBAs, and what he said was not really that positive. Take everything with a grain of salt, but what Elon Musk had to say about MBAs was not that great, and I think that there might be some truth to it. So he pretty much said, and I'll include the quote here, but he pretty much said like, the MBA doesn't really teach you to think, and it's kind of a waste of time. And I could go into a whole different topic, a whole different video about my thoughts on, is it worth it to go to school at all? And definitely going to make a video about that, because I have a lot to say about that. But just from somebody who's been working in the financial services industry for quite some time, I would say that very, very little of what you learn in school, or even I'd say concepts from the CFA, are what you do day to day on the job. So I would assume that's the case also within getting an MBA. You learn on the job pretty much. So you have to really weigh the pros and cons if an MBA is worth it for you at this time. And if you guys have any questions about your own special situations and kind of want my input, please let me know. I'm happy to answer. I'm happy to help. But yeah, those are just kind of my key takeaways on whether or not you need an MBA to break into the financial services industry, and my thoughts on is it worth it or not. I'm curious to know if you guys have taken an MBA, if it is worth it for you, and what your experience has been. So please let me know. I'd be happy to hear. And thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know if you guys have any questions. I love answering them.